Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Elle. I'm a painter and a printmaker. Today I wanted to talk really briefly about the importance of proofing your blocks. I have this print here that I started a really long time ago and then sort of gave up on after I proofed it. And so I thought it would be a good opportunity to sort of go through and see what I'm typically looking at when I'm deciding whether a print is worth running an edition of, or if it needs a little bit more work before I do that, or if it's just, beyond hope and needs to be scrapped altogether. So briefly before we get into it, if you're new to printmaking or if you just haven't heard the term before, proofing refers to pulling basically a test print of your block. Typically this is done on like a butcher paper. I have this printed on like way too nice of a paper for a proof, but you can kind of see over here that it got a little bit like wet somewhere along the way, and I just had it lying around, and I was feeling really optimistic that day that this would come out in one go and I wouldn't have to fuss with it. But obviously that's not the case. When I pulled this block and I saw it for the first time, I really hated it. I was just like, this is a disaster, and I'm just gonna throw the block away because I hate this so much. Actually, this is a very normal reaction for me. I feel like this about, I would say at least 90% of the prints I pull. So I've developed a habit of letting that reaction happen and then putting the proof away, putting the block away where I can't get at it because I will destroy it in a rage. That's where we're at. We're at the coming back to it stage and seeing things a little bit more clearly. The things I don't like, I feel like the bird just gets completely lost. I don't love outlining things. If you leave these places of black, it invites the viewer to like come in and perceive as opposed to being told what's going on. But if you do it too much, you start to lose credibility. I don't know if that's the right word, but that's how I think of it. I'm trusting you to figure this out, and I don't know if that's a good thing to trust somebody with because I'm confused and I made this. This needs to be revisited in here. I'm kind of thinking that this just needs like a line to delineate the bird from the vase. I'm thinking about thickening up some of these leaves in here. Might give it a little bit more just differentiation. See, I like how some of these kind of blend into each other, but it just gets to be a lot, especially right in this area. The bird is such a big area of black, which I think is a good thing all in all. My initial reaction was, oh no, the bird, it's too dark. It needs some more detailing, but I'm a little bit concerned that if I were to go in and add more details here, we would really just start getting it confused with flowers and leaves and stuff. So I'm not gonna touch this bird too much when I come in and fuss with this, but just trying to make sure, maybe like thickening up some of these outlined lines so that it really pops forward, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create space between the different planes. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking about here. I like the stems. I feel like that's a decent amount of detail. But then when it really starts losing it for me is as we travel this way. I'm not in love with the solutions that I came up with in this area. I feel like, honestly, at this point, it's like it's two different prints. It's this and then it's this. And there needs to be some amount of interplay between the two. This is not doing that. This is saying, hey, there's a lot of detail here, and then there's this big cartoon eyeball. What I think the solution needs to be is taking some of the line work that's happening up in here and bringing it down into here. Adding some more of this element to kind of bolster up this white space. That's the other problem, is there's so much light here and then so much dark there. So maybe if we can bring in a little bit more lightness, it'll just kind of like bring the eye down and give it more of a resting space here because it doesn't have that. So I know that's a lot of words. All of this is to the point that I pulled this print and it's not the way that I want it to be. And that means that it's not done. Every once in a while you might get lucky and that first pull is just perfect and you're super stoked about it, and that's great, but that's absolutely the anomaly. I'm gonna dive back into this and we'll see what comes out of it. Trying to keep it pretty subtle because this is one of those blocks that really could go too far too fast. But anyway, I think I'm ready to do another proof. I have some paper here. It's nicer than, again, what I would typically proof with. I usually would just use, you know, something like this, like a butcher paper. It's not the cleanest, but you know, it's something that I'd probably print on and say it's fine. So if it comes out, great, and if it doesn't, then I'll just retcon myself. We're gonna get going on that and see how it comes out. All right, so this is our new proof, and this is our old proof, and this is the part where everybody looks at these and says, I see no difference. And I am well aware that that is likely going to be the reaction, which is not a bad thing. A lot of the time when you proof something, it's sort of you fine-tuning. So in my case right now, I'm looking at these areas that I previously really didn't like and saying, did that do what I needed it to do? So before, remember, I was not happy with this area in here. It just got like really muddy and unsure. And so now we've got this line here, that sort of delineates the lip of the vase. And I opened up a little bit on these leaves here just to give it a little more breathing space. I also thickened this line here on this bird, just kind of like really bumped those values out so that you could kind of start to see that moving up. And then the big stuff is down here at the bottom, really kind of just driving home this patterning down here. I was nervous about carving out anything from here because I kind of felt like that would start to get really busy, and I'm glad I held off. I want to say that I think that this is in a place where I'm not mad about it anymore. Do I wish I was better at art? Yes, every day. I think that this is sort of where I would leave this print. The next thing would be proofing it on a couple of different pieces of paper, and likely I'd probably, while I'm doing that, I would still continue to fuss with certain things. I don't know. This one makes me nervous again because there's just a lot going on in this print. So I might leave it alone. That's where we're at. This video was pure chaos. That's sort of what the proofing process is, to be 100% honest. It's sort of just looking at your stuff and asking yourself a million questions. These little minor changes, when they add up, really make or break a print. But when you're working at such a small scale, it's kind of easy to get lost in them. But yeah, that's sort of what I go through when I'm trying to figure out whether a block is done or not. If you like this video where I kind of walk through the process of figuring out, you know, where a block is at and kind of doing a little bit of a self-critique, let me know if that's something you're interested in. I think it's really important as artists that we exercise that skill and start to hone in on things that are working and things that aren't in our own work. I was lucky and got that in school, but if you're self-taught, that's something that you absolutely can train yourself into, but sometimes it's helpful to just hear other people doing that. So let me know if that's something you're interested in. and I'm gonna get on with something else. If you like this video, there's a whole bunch of different buttons to play around with. I don't really care, do whatever you want. And I'll see you next time.